Hey there guys, alright, today we are watching another potential history video, this time historical accuracy in games. Now I took a look at the comments. I think this is in reference to probably Battlefield 5, which, it was a bad game. I'm sorry, I did not enjoy it. I thought Battlefield 1 was a lot of fun, despite, it was very, let's be real. If you wanted a historically accurate World War I game, you would be bored out of your goddamn mind. I certainly would. I thought Battlefield 1 was a great game. But then, if we're gonna look outside of the World War games, outside of shooter games, I think obviously the currently best historically accurate game has to go to Kingdom Come Deliverance, where it has. I think we have to give it to Kingdom Come Deliverance, which has a great balance of historical accuracy while still maintaining a fun gameplay element. Aside from that, I've got nothing else to add here at the beginning. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Oh yeah, trailer. Here's the thing, I don't care about accuracy too much in my multiplayer shooters because they are multiplayer shooters. So like, it's when you're telling a story where I think historical accuracy matters. Like when people got pissed at the customization that they were hinting at here in Battlefield 5, I wanted it. I don't care. I want to wield a fucking samurai sword. I want to wield a katana and stab a Nazi in World War II with a goddamn katana as an American. That'd be fun. I want to have like a RoboClaw hand. That'd be cool. It's multiplayer. I don't care about historical accuracy.
And then there's this Jimmy Rustler.
Today we're talking about the controversial new trailer for the
official Battlefield channel
game,
on May the 23rd.
Oh my
God,
this once beloved franchise appears to have finally caved in.
I remember all this. A lot of these people though are sexist. Like, come on. It's a multiplayer shooter game. The fuck cares? It would be different. Obviously, it's different when we look at the Battlefield 5 story, in which it was a raid on I believe it was in Norway, on a Nazi base. The real story is, I believe it was like 10 Special Forces dudes went in, did not fire a shot, and raided the base. And then it gets swapped for a woman going Bone Rambo style on the whole base. That mission is where I'm like, no. Should have done it, because I feel like it would have been much cooler if you're like doing that mission, you're doing that raid with 10 Special Forces troops, and you're not firing a gun, or you can choose not to fire a weapon. Like I feel like you could make that far more strategical, far more stealth based than what was actually present in Battlefield 5 when it released. But like, I think the Battlefield 1 story mission, where you are, I believe you are an Arab woman, and you are fighting alongside, like, Lawrence of Arabia against the Ottomans. I thought that was pretty well done. I don't know if it's historically accurate. I don't know much about the fight against the Ottomans. I don't know much about the Arab fight against the Ottomans, but it was still an entertaining story. But I think Battlefield 5 made a lot of mistakes.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
I know, right?
I can't tell you how excited I was to see that a first-person shooter was going back to a historical theme with Battlefield 1, and ever since that game came out, it looks like AAA shooters as a whole are going to start returning to historical settings, and that's been great.
I hated COD World War II. Call of Duty World War II was trash.
It seems like with this, there's an annual uproar about these games, with many people making complaints about two things: historical accuracy and respect to the source material. First, a look at historical accuracy. And this is something that I agree is fairly far off in, say, the new Battlefield trailer. There are many weapons, uniforms, and vehicle combinations that do not make any sense and were not present in World War II. And this is something that some people are jumping on. I mean, even I made an overly elaborate meme about it. But a lot of people, me included, are giving it a pass, as it looks like the trailer was just for multiplayer mode. And to be fair, multiplayer modes, by their nature, add non-historically accurate elements for the sake of gameplay and to keep things interesting. Battlefield 1 did this, COD World War II did this, World at War did this. So it's not really that big a deal, and people are acknowledging that. But the bigger issue that people are upset about, and have been for most of the recent AAA historical titles, is the portrayal of women and minorities in frontline combat of these games. But both sides of the argument seem to miss the point entirely as far as the issue goes. And here are the facts. No Western Allied armies, the United States and Britain is what I'll be focusing on, used or had women in frontline combat units. So this portrayal in the character is incorrect. But that is
Yes.
not to say that women were not vital to the war effort for either of these countries. In both the US and Britain, women found themselves working in factories, taking care of the home front, and doing everything that was required to support the war effort. They made tanks, planes, and ammunition, winter clothes, and provided food. All things needed to support the war at the front. Jobs that were just as important as those doing the fighting. As without
Yes.
them, the ones doing the fighting would have nothing to fight with. Women also worked as nurses overseas, saving the lives of an untold number of men. In short, the contribution from women during World War II for the countries depicted in this trailer was vital. It just didn't look like this. But there are examples of women in combat in other parts of the world.
Exactly, and that's the thing. They fought for the Russians, right? They fought for the Soviet Union. But do you ever see that portrayed in games? No, they never portray the Soviet sniper women. They never do. Instead, they put it on the Western countries, right? Like, it's like, stay. As he was talking about, sticking with like the source material and then historical accuracy, they are two different things. Yeah, I'm gonna let him
The
finish.
Red Army employed female snipers throughout the war, the most famous being Lyudmila Pavlyuchenko, I'm sure I said that wrong, who is credited with 309 confirmed kills, with God knows how many additional unconfirmed
Fucking
kills,
badass
and was just
woman.
an all-around badass in
Get
World War
good.
II. There were also women who fought all over the Eastern Front behind enemy lines as partisans in places such as Poland and
Yes, and have them part of the resistance movements as stories. Yeah.
Yugoslavia, just to name a few. Anna Zakrzewska and Wanda Gertz are excellent examples of this and have amazing stories. There were also French female resistance fighters, and many of them have already been depicted in games in the past.
Yes.
In short, women were in World War II in many capacities. It was just not the same as the male roles due to social restraints of the time. So although I agree with people who are promoting backlash against those complaining about women in games, it is without a strong grasp of the real roles women played at the time. But also those who are simply leaving the argument at women weren't in World War II are also wrong, as women did play a big role. And I actually think it would be great to have a war story in this game focused around a Soviet sniper or Polish or French resistance fighter.
Yes.
As long as this done accurately. This whole thing reminds me of the Battlefield 1 release, when everyone was all up in arms about there being black soldiers in all the armies in the multiplayer reveal. And you got the same kind of back and forth, one side saying, that never happened, and the other side cherry-picking examples of black soldiers in uniforms of various countries, trying to make it look like the norm. But the whole argument...
Yeah, you wouldn't find, in regards to Battlefield 1, you wouldn't find them really fighting for, say, the Italians, the Austro-Hungarians, or the Germans. You would find them part of French units and British units. More so probably the French units than the British. The British would mainly use Indians, whereas the French, I would say, would probably be more likely to see black men. Right, but I think in the Battlefield 1 story, they actually did that right, where it was, I believe, an all black unit, and I think they were French. I think, or at least they spoke French. Obviously, they were probably like Algerian or something. Or Tunisian or something like that. And then, they got shipped there with a unit of British Indian soldiers. I thought that mission in Battlefield 1 was well done.
It became pointless once the game was out, and it is shown that the character customization was anything goes as far as multiplayer was concerned, but the campaign kept a history showing African American soldiers as part of the Harlem Hellfighters, and the rest of the
Oh, it was the Americans, I thought.
Campaign being pretty much white guys, because at the time, that's pretty much how it was. The same is true of Call of Duty World War II's multiplayer. In that game, it is literally anything goes, where you could play as a black female soldier in the German army. But where it counts, in the campaign, the part is supposed to be historically accurate is all white guys, because the army was segregated at the time due to the fact that America was, to put it bluntly, well...
racist.
That's it!
Yeah.
And the campaign even...
Yes, I like this. I like this is my thoughts exactly. It's like multiplayer, I don't give a fuck about historical accuracy. Single player story though, be accurate to the source material at the very least. Try. Like obviously if you want to still incorporate, women soldiers, or obviously maybe a mixed contingent. Make it make sense to the story, and look for where it actually happened in real life. Don't just make it up, because there are plenty of real life situations in which these events happened and you can use, and their stories aren't, a lot of these stories of these instances that people would love to hear about just don't get told, because these people that are making these games, these CEOs or fucking whatever, just they don't. I don't know what I'm saying.
Acknowledges this, with how Zussman is at times ostracized for being a Jew.
I said never shake hands with a Jew.
My whole point is,
Oh.
for as much of a historical mess as
Maybe I ought to play Call of Duty World War II story. Seems like potential history here is kind of praising it a little bit.
this trailer is, AAA developers have so far seemed to come through with the historical accuracy where it counts, in the campaign. The second issue brought up about Battlefield 5 is the lack of respect for the war and those who fought in it. But in my opinion, no game really does respect the war or those
Yes.
who fought in it. Just think about it on its surface. All games about World War II are taking the most deadly conflict in human history that was rife with pain, misery, and death, and turning it into something we do for fun in our free time.
Yep.
Even if we play games with the sense of the real-life events in our heads, we're still turning the representation of a human being who actually fought in this war and had his own thoughts and feelings into a point towards a kill streak. And don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. I've been known to be less than reverent when talking about some topics in the past. And there's definitely a time and place to just have fun with history, even with more serious topics. And I think video games are an excellent medium for this. But there are also times to be respectful to history. And video games, especially first-person shooters, just by their nature, are terrible for this.
Yes.
In fact, the only one that I can think of that would even come close to some sort of respect level would be Call of Duty World at War. That leads to a very poignant message at the end about the human cost of World War II. But you spend the whole game leading up to that ending creating that human cost that you're later told to respect. And it kind of
I'm watching this man commit a war crime.
takes the punch out of the message, as opposed to, say, a film or book where you are merely an outside observer. In short, just please stop arguing about this. Just hope for the best for the campaign, which, to be honest, I've never seen a historical World War II shooter with a bad campaign, and just let multiplayer be whatever it is and have fun with it. Yeah, it's inaccurate that you're in a squad of all women, but it's also inaccurate that you die and come back 10 seconds later, so don't be selective with your outrage on accuracy in a game mode that is meant to be fun first and realistic second.
Yeah, he pretty much has the same thoughts as me. I agree entirely. Nothing else to really add here at the end. I believe the same things, I'm 100% agree with potential history here with Star Galaxy. And I think, obviously we've got Battlefield 2042 coming out this year, and then we have later, after that we have the next Call of Duty, which is Call of Duty Vanguard, which is looking like another World War II game. I'm gonna be honest, I'm tired of World War II games. I'm bored of them. The World War II is the most talked about war. I want to see Vietnam. I want to see, honestly, if you could give me actually second Sino-Japanese War, I think that'd be good. And then obviously this would succeed for the game companies, because then they'd probably be allowed to sell their games in China. Just saying. If you want to make some bank, try and sell your games in China. And then, I want to see maybe even more Russian stuff. That'd be neat. Finnish Soviet War would be cool too. Winter War. But honestly, I'm just overall bored of World War II. It's been done to death. There's so many films, so much content made about World War II. I don't really feel like we need more. Give it a few years break maybe, and then come back to it. But it's only been, what, 2 Call of Duty since their last World War II outing? Anyways, that was Historical Accuracy in Games by Potential History. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.